Yeah, right. Welcome to the Here and Now show. I am your host, Rhonda Ray. Thank you for tuning in to the Here and Now show. As if you don't know, and if you've known before, if you tuned into my show, you know that I'm coming from the Midwest where we come in, show up, and show out. Hello, somebody. You gotta love your city. Gotta love your city. The Here and Now show is a channel where I took life changing events and turned them into a positive living, and that in hopes that people alike could relate or understand some of my topics. Also, if you have a question or if you have any comments, feel free to leave it in the message box, and I'll respond because I believe that all voices matter. Also, if I'm sorry, my watch went off. I'm not perfect. But again, I want to thank you all for tuning in, for spending this little bit of time with me. So, with that being said, let's start the show. And as you know, if you tuned in my show before, then you know that I'm really into the jazz. You know, the jazz music. It does something that I really enjoy. It sets a stage for me. It sets a piece, something that's peaceful, that just relaxes you. So, if you guys don't mind, as I do with all of my shows, I have a little moment where we just sit back and let's just take this second and enjoy this moment. I'm gonna try to turn my chair because, as you guys can tell, I am streaming from home. That that is a wonderful thing right there. Hello, somebody. Oh, my chair just sunk me down. You see how I just shrunk? Let's enjoy. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that little moment. My cheer is giving me that today, this morning. Hello, somebody. So today's conversation, I don't know if you've seen it in the box, but today's conversation is anxiety, fight or flight. You know, I'm glad you guys are here. To share this with me. I am not being funny, but I am having the dangest time keeping my chair up. I guess that's why I should have stayed at the library, but I wanted to be at home. Ha! Take a deep breath, baby. You got this. This cheer is just being a cheer. But as I said, today's topic conversation is anxiety, fight or flight. This is your space. This is your moment. And this is your pause. This is your moment to breathe right here, right now. Today, I'm talking about something that's real, something that a lot of us face, even when we don't say it. We face it and some of us don't say it. I'm talking about anxiety and the feeling of fight or flight when it shows up in your life, when your life becomes overwhelming. Let me be clear. Anxiety is real. Yes, it is. And it doesn't mean that you're weak or that you're broken. And I want you to know that you're not alone. You're not alone in that. Hello, somebody, and I repeat, you're not alone. Fight or flight is a natural body response to stress or fear. Sometimes it looks like staying busy all the time so you don't have to feel it, or sometimes it protects us, you know, or sometimes it shows up when there's no fear and there's no danger, just pressure, worries, memories, uncertainties, and 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 when it does, and when that does happen, it makes you feel confused. For me, I feel confused. I feel exhausted and even scary sometimes. Sometimes it can be very scary. From my point of view, anxiety doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it looks like smiling, and the meanwhile, your heart is racing. And then it shows up in moments when everything should be okay, but on the inside, it's not. The truth is, to stay positive means it doesn't mean you have to ignore your anxiety. It means learning to have compassion in an instant moment of fear. Now, understanding that panic attacks and anxiety sound alike and they are similar, but they are very much different. Um, and I will explain. To me, a panic attack feels sudden. It's a sudden rush of fear or terror. The racing of the heart, the pounding of the heart, and it's the shortness of the breath, or even feeling like you can't breathe. Dizziness, being nauseated. Well, not nearly nauseated, but maybe dizzy and shaking, and and sweating, and the fear and the feeling that you feel detached from the body, from your body, and things surrounding you. It's a fear of losing control, or passing out, or even dying. Those are the fears, right? Panic attacks come in fast peaks. Usually they last, for me, about 10 minutes of feeling overwhelmed. It's like your body has this alarm system, and the alarm just went off full blast. And even though it feels so dangerous and it feels not good at all, panic attacks are not life threatening. So even though it feels so dangerous to you, and to me, the good thing is it's not life threatening. Anxiety attacks, for me, this is something I feel like that builds up gradually, and it's usually connected to stress or worry or ongoing pressure. It feels like a constant worry, racing thoughts, tightness in your muscles or in your jaw. Oh, I hate that. Restless, or feeling on the edge, trouble sleeping, sometimes upset stomach, sometimes being nauseated, fatigue, and difficult to concentrate. Now, anxiety can last hours and sometimes days. They often come from thinking about Anxiety often comes from thinking about what what is about to happen, rather than what is happening now. Does that make sense? No, it's a fear of what might happen with anxiety versus what's actually happening now. Panic attacks, you know, they're sudden, they're intense, and it's scary. And then, anxiety attacks is slow and it's long lasting. Panic attacks feels like physical first, right? Versus anxiety, it starts in the brain and then it flows and spreads to the body. Panic attack feels like an emergency, and anxiety feels like constant pressure. I have felt both. I have. And to be honest, it's something that I am still working with to this day. I still deal with it, but I've learned to have coping skills and knowing. the coping skills and knowing the difference between a panic attack and anxiety and an anxiety attacks gives me better knowledge and better tools and better coping skills because I can define the difference. Now, here's the thing. You are when you're having, panic attacks or anxiety attacks, just remember that you are neither it doesn't mean that you're weak, okay? And neither does it mean that there's something wrong with you. Those signals are not failures. Okay, those signals that we feel during the panic attack are not your failures. So let me tell you a story because I like to tell stories, but this is on alignment of what happened to me, and I just thought that hey, I could share it with you guys, right? Because I love y'all, y'all love me, and we've been through a lot together these last few months. We've talked about self love, self doubt, boundaries, friendship. So I know you guys understand, and I appreciate you. But this is kind of a funny story, I guess, to me. And I had to take a few of my notes because my memory is not that great. But hello, somebody, I got it in the bag. So, with my story, because if you shop at Walmart, I know I'm not alone. You definitely might understand me. Well, I went into Walmart to get one item, a pen, and one item, and maybe a bag of chips. I don't know. The next thing I know, I got a cart full of stuff, and I am in aisle 12, and I can't remember why the hell I even came into Walmart, right? Like, I'm standing here, like, did I come here? I got a cart full of stuff. I can't remember at that second. But, anyways, I come into Walmart, I'm minding my business, shopping, feeling cute. hmm Walking through the aisles as if I had somewhere important to be at that moment. And then, boom, that panic attack said, "Hey, did you miss me?" Oh, out of nowhere, out of the plumb rims of the earth of nowhere, my heart starts to race and my chest goes tight. Oh, God. And my brain goes, why are all these people looking at me? Huh? Huh? Screw them. But in my mind, mind you, while my mind is doing all these thoughts, why are they looking at me? Oh my God, I'm panicking so bad. What do I do? They wasn't really looking at me. But during the panic, I felt as if they were looking at me. And I have all these inside thoughts. But that anxiety a lot of you because it'll tell you everyone's looking at you, but they're really not. So I'm standing there and I feel like I'm about to pass out. And all of a sudden, does Walmart feel like a stadium? Now it seems super freaking big right now. I'm like, oh my God. Ooh, this is too much. And have I been breathing wrong all my life? These are all the thoughts. I'm thinking, I've been breathing wrong because now my breathing is heavy, my heart is racing, and my breathing's like, I'm like, oh my God, I've been breathing wrong all my life, right? And I'm looking at the chips, and I'm like, who eats all these chips? Who needs all these flavors? My mind is just going everywhere. It was bad, y'all, for about 2 minutes. And it felt like 2 years. I felt like I spent 2 years on that owl during my panic attack. I swear, I felt like I aged. Now, my fight or flight, my fight or flight response, it kicked in immediately. My brain was like, forget these groceries, forget Walmart, and forget these people and go, right? Peel out, get in your car like you stole something. Just go. And but instead of running, of course, I decided to fight. Not the people at Walmart, not Walmart. I decided to fight the panic, right? And and these were a few steps that I took between the chips and the soda owl. I I immediately took these steps, and I don't know, it may help you and it may not. The first thing I did was I stopped moving, right? Because I was like everywhere, right? I was all over the place. So I stopped moving. I planted my feet and I told myself, you are safe. This is uncomfortable. Yes, this is so uncomfortable, but you're not in danger. And then I breathed on purpose, because the prior breathing was anxious breathe. This time I allowed myself to breathe on purpose. Slow breaths in, long breaths out. And I was still trying to be cute. Actually, I was trying not to pass out. I mean, so I grounded myself and I started looking around the store as I'm grounding myself, as I'm taking these slow breaths. And I start to see things in my mind and I say, oh, okay, I see a card. Um, I see, I hear music. Ooh, and I see a cute guy. And hello, somebody. I bought my mind back, right? I bought my mind back right now. And I talk to myself like I was my own best friend. And sometimes that worked. I mean, and I said to myself, this will pass. You've been here before. And I do a lot of praying too. And I'll tell you, prayer for me, and it'll work for you. Faith centers me and it lets me know that I'm not alone to carry this, that I don't have to carry this feeling alone, you know. And I know I don't, and my faith is real strong and I always will come off on top on the other side. And I'm telling myself that and I know this, right? And guess what? It passed. Just like it always does. A few moments later, I was back to myself. hmm Still cute, still in Walmart, still grabbing things I don't need. And but I grabbed that bull by the horn. You feel what I'm saying? And for a moment, I beat that panic's ass. Hello, somebody, and did. I whooped his ass for that moment. Excuse me. Apologize. And and that I beat it for that moment, and that felt great because courage isn't never feeling anxiety, right? It's not. Courage is feeling it and staying away, right? Staying away, feeling that and staying away from what your inner thoughts are telling you and feed it with your positive thoughts because your brain will start to register like, oh, okay, what am I panicking about now? I'm not panicking about anything right now. What am I doing right now? Sorry, I'm not perfect. Yes, it's my watch. Sometimes you gotta just but guys, again, I'm not perfect. So courage is that. You have a lot of courage. So I do want to say if you ever survived a panic attack or an anxiety attack, you are already stronger than you know. Hello. You are stronger than what you're giving yourself credit for. Because I tell you, whew, one thing about it, because the body listens and your body relies on actions like, are we in danger? Are we just standing next to the bread owl? And then you say, oh, okay, I'm not in danger. There's no lions here. There's no emergency, just vibes and anxiety lion, you know. And I mean, and sure, I could talk about how anxiety has no timing. It doesn't care if you're busy. It doesn't care if you're cute. Okay, somebody. It doesn't care if you're shopping and minding your own business. It will tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, you good? You cool? Because I'm not. Uh, your anxiety really thinks they're the manager, right? It does. It comes in loud and it brings drama and it comes uninvited, right? And, you sit there and you're like, oh, here comes that anxiety to the side. I didn't ask to be in this meeting, Mr. Anxiety. I did it, right? I didn't ask to be in that meeting. I feel like I'm getting out of the camera, so let me move my chair over here. Um, Sorry, I just want to make sure that I look like I do have a neck. Because, she talks, but she doesn't have a neck. I actually do have a neck. That's a joke. Okay, so um, where was I at? Now, on some real life, laugh it through anxiety talk. I want to talk about what matters that I think is important. One thing I think is important for anybody is, I'm sorry, don't let the panic, don't panic about the panic. Does that make sense? Because, when you're in the midst of it all and you're panicking, it's hard not to panic about the panic, right? That's a hard thing to do. How am I supposed to panic about the panic? And so I know it sounds wild. I know that, you know, but the moment you stop saying, oh, oh, I'm feeling, oh, you say to yourself, okay, here we go again. And you take your power back. hmm Because breathing, you can breathe like you're calming a baby. That's the best way I can say it. Slow and gentle. Just because your body don't need drama. It needs oxygen. So you just kind of And I'd say something. Sometimes I'm not saying it works for everybody because the way the world's set up, but sometimes if you have to, talk to yourself. Talk your way out if you have to. And yes, people are gonna stare at you if you're standing in the aisle talking to yourself. Well, you know what? Fuck with mine there. I was getting ready to say some inappropriate words, but there are going to be people that's going to look at you if you are talking to yourself in the aisle, but they don't know. You could be on the phone, you could be praying and saying, Jesus, take this wheel, take the wheel, Jesus. And all things is possible. Trust me, you know. Um, so that's something that I think that is truly should be thought about. Talk to yourself out loud. And like I said, yes, people will look at you, but honestly, they don't know what you're doing. Like I said, you could be on your phone, you could be in an earpiece phone conversation, or I mean, or you could just be being your fabulous self and saying, I survived. I am in a safe place. This will pass because I have survived this before. And and then your brain, and then you tell your brain like this, we lived, we done it. I did that. And that eventually it rewires your fear over time. I'm so sorry, guys. I seem to be busy this morning, right? But telling yourself that, it rewires, your fear over time. And anxiety is always creating disaster, but it never ever delivers because it's the fear within us. So, that is something that I've often thought about. Like, oh, it's the fear in us, right? That's better, right? The camera. I don't know. I don't know. So remember that. I'm not done talking. Now I'll tell you this: if anxiety shows up, I'm sorry, that's not what I wanted to say. I made a mistake. But anxiety shows up, it's big and it's loud, and then it leaves like it forgot why it came. So if you made it through an attack today or yesterday or a year ago, clap for yourself. Hello, somebody. Seriously, because that's courage, right? You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're human. Hello, somebody. You're human. That's it. And even with on your worst day, you still deserve peace. Hello, somebody. Because we all know that anxiety is disrespectful. It doesn't give you a calendar invite. It just shows up. Hey, you're busy, you're cool, less panic. Right? Right. And why does it seem like that it happens in public? Or the worst, when you're on your couch in your own home eating popcorn and watching movies and snacks, and then boom. Or even so, maybe you're at Walmart like I was, or at Target, or in a checkout line where there are witnesses. Well, that's really when the coping skills got to get in. And then, you're seeing all this and now your heart's rushing. And you're like, why am I breathing again like I just ran a marathon? Right? Because this feeling is familiar. And why do I feel like everyone is watching me? It just seems like they are watching. But nobody cares and nobody's even watching you. They're probably more worried about what's in their card or their kids and why the hell eggs are so costly these days. Like, you are not the one they're worried about. It's another lie that anxiety will tell you. Meanwhile, you're sitting in the middle or standing in the middle of the aisle thinking, yep, this is it. This is where it ends. Right here in the bed owl. Now, and I think the least favorite part of fight and flight for me is, fight or flight to tell you to drop everything and run. Where am I running to? I can't even remember where I parked my car, right? I don't know. That's funny to me. But the funny truth is anxiety does talk and it talks big and it definitely comes in loud, you know, and it acts like it owns the place and leaves and 5 minutes later, like, I'm out. So, and you're standing there like, so, are we done? Because I still need my bread. If you can survive a panic attack and anxiety attack, congratulations. Congratulations, you won. Each time you thought you couldn't handle it, you handle it. Each time I thought I couldn't do it, I did it. And it's not like, so it's like if anxiety pulls up on it, you look at it like, oh, it's you again, cute. Been here before, right? And laugh sometimes if you want to, just okay, because nothing scares anxiety more than realizing that it will not kill you. That is just a momentarily, and they don't like that. Then you still, and that on top of that you still won, right? You could say, I won. Wow, hello somebody. So if anxiety tried you today, or you're still standing, congratulations, you didn't lose your mind. I mean, you might have lost it for a minute and misplaced it. Like you misplaced keys, just misplaced it for a minute, but then you found it again, right? So anxiety is something that can be managed, and panic attacks too. I've heard that they have medicines that you can take for anxiety on set, and if that's the thing that that helps you and balance you, for by all means continue with it. My words is blah, blah, blah. But if that is something that you do, another healthy treatment is even having therapy. You could get therapy for your depression. I'm sorry, did I say depression? I guess it's kind of on the same level. Depression, anxiety, it's kind of walks in the same room, not at the same time, but eventually they will meet. They are cousins of feelings. So anxiety can be managed, panic attacks can be managed as well. But before I close, I did have a few questions that were asked for me, and I'll answer them. And if you guys want to look at this later and answer the questions, or put them in the chat box and give me your opinion on what you think or what maybe you did, because actually giving your honest opinion can honestly help and save someone else, or help them along their way. Like, oh, I didn't know that, let me try that. So one of the questions that were sent to me, there are only four, so I won't keep too long. Hello, somebody. Question one was, what do you do when a panic attack hits you out of nowhere? Well, you don't want to fight it like it stole something from you. Okay? Uh-uh. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is pause, breathe, and tell yourself, yes, this is uncomfortable, but I'm not in danger. I am in a safe place, because panics hate calm confidence. So if you are having a panic attack out of nowhere, I'll tell you that panic attack does not like calm confidence. So you calmly confidence and use that by saying again, yes, this is uncomfortable, but I am not in danger. I am in a safe place. And again, these are just things that I went through, or coping skills that I did to help me. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a coach of any kind. I'm just a person that has a life that had life changing events, and I wanted to share with other people, and they possibly can relate as well. The second question was, should I leave the place when anxiety? Should I leave when anxiety shows up? Okay, I'll tell you one secret. Running tells anxiety that they won. So running, no. I think that staying planted where you at, and practicing those skills, even though it feels awkward, saying it, nice try, to your anxiety, nice try, and it I think that that would help you. Um, why does my body feel like it's in danger? And I tell you, it's because your brain is dramatic and it doesn't have a facts check. Okay, it's going off these emotions, and usually it is old fears in new situations. You're safe, even when your heart is being extra. You're still safe. You know. And then the last one was, how do I stop being afraid the next time I have an attack? Because I tell you how you stop it. Every attack that you had prior to, you survived it. Anxiety definitely keeps receipts, but we do too. So, you know, when anxiety pulls up on you, or when it tries to pull up on you, even if it shocked you, even if it made you sweat or it came in a whisper, close your eyes and say, Jesus, take the wheel. I'm going to be fine. I got this. And you do have it, because why? You are a wonderful person and you deserve wonderful things. And so, with that being said, I will be casting off. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to my show today. For those who stayed, those who didn't stay, maybe you'll come and listen another day. So, this is the Here and Now show. I am saying good night and goodbye. Make sure you like and subscribe and share. Thank you so much.